So, good morning, everyone. My name is Pandurang. I head the startup solution architecture team at AWS. And I'm really excited to be here because long back when I started my career, I used to be part of a similar community group in Bangalore. And I remember organizing an event like this and all the things that Sanchit said. It is truly difficult because all these guys who are, helping organize this entire thing have actually been, they all actually have day jobs, right? They're all doing this voluntarily and they're doing this in their spare time. And I know the amount of collaboration that's happening on some WhatsApp groups, some Dropbox, some, like lots of things to kind of put this together. So one more big hand for them to put this together. So, to avoid as much trouble as possible, we have kept most demos and all that recorded and things. And we wanted to kind of ensure that we are not kind of creating things. But then I had to make Sanchit's life hard and say, no, we will still do some live demos. So I'm kind of just starting with something thing. So we were thinking what topic should we use for the keynote, right? And the hot topic of the day is generative AI. And we said, okay, let's do something with generative AI. And the idea was to kind of give you a sneak peek into some few things that we are seeing from AWS. When I work with many startups, we kind of understand what are the kind of things that are actually working and what are the things that people are actually building out there using generative AI, right? So how many of you have been using any generative AI app like ChatGPT or anything else? Okay. Great, most of you. I mean, some of you have clearly, I think the first row is the ones that didn't raise their hand. So it is like the people who bought the gold tickets are not using generative AI. Good. So what we'll do is, for those who use generative AI and for those who don't, we will try starting with a little fun kind of thing that we'll do, right? So we'll all together here build an app. Live right now, right? It's working off my phone Wi-Fi, so let's hope it all holds. I'm just going to exit the presentation. And yeah. So how many of you have heard of Party Rock? Okay, I see a few hands. So Party Rock is a fun app. It's free. You can go try it. It's partyrock.aws is the URL. What it helps you do is use generative AI to kind of create simple apps, right? So the idea is let's kind of create an app right now. So I'm just going to click on build your own app. So I'm going to ask the audience on what app we should build. So any ideas? Anybody who had that one idea of that startup that you wanted to kind of start, or some idea that you want to do? Simple app. We don't want to kind of take away the entire keynote building an app. So any simple app. Sorry? Travel planner. Okay. Anything else? Community management. Not a bad one. So if you're doing travel planner, do you want to kind of add to that and say features? So create an app that can help create a travel planner for a group of developer enthusiasts. Okay, we'll just put something like that and we'll just say generate app. Now what is happening right now is it's taking the application. Okay, let me just see if the internet is working. Oh no, it's not. Okay, let me just do that again. This is why Sanchit didn't want me to do live apps, but we'll still try it. I'm just going to refresh. Paste and generate an app. So it's, right now what is happening is it's using Claude 3 at the back, and it's basically taking this prompt, understanding for an app like this, what would be the different inputs that would be required. It's creating those input elements. It's thinking what would be the output look like. So it's creating that. And it's doing all of that on the fly, right? And it's actually created the app for us right now. So let's say destination. So where do you want to travel? Paris? Okay, Vegas. So I'm just going to say Las Vegas. What are your travel dates? So I'll say June. Reinvent is too far. June 2024. Now you can say that it's actually generating. So it's saying the travel plan, it's generating, it's automatically on its own. You can see we created it right in front. It's decided that it'll do destination details. It's creating a destination image, which is auto-generated. And it is also creating a suggested itinerary of arrival, day 1. Okay, it is actually asking us to attend reInvent there. And hackathon and thing and all that, right? So this is basically, it's a thing that it's doing. And it's basically then got a chat box down where I can even ask it to kind of, like do more things that I want. So this is a very simple, quick thing that we created. The good thing about Party Rock is that there are many, many apps that are created like this by people. So you can go to Discover and see other people's apps. And if you like something, but you thought that you wanted to change something over there, for example, I'm just taking this app that is here. And if I decide that I want to make a better version of this, I can just say remix. So it'll copy that app for you, and then it'll give you the prompts, and you can change the prompts and make your own app. So that's what Party Rock is. It's a community app to kind of create fun things. Want to see more apps like this? Okay. So we'll do one more. So this is another app called Suno.ai. So I want to move away from text and do something, right? So this is where you can go create a song. And it's very popular with my daughter. So I am helping her create, it allows you to create 10 songs for free every day, I think. And let's say, create a happy song about the Mumbai AWS Community Day and how everybody is excited to learn new AWS things. Okay, and I'm just going to say create. Okay, I need to sign in. Now this is something I'd already done, so I don't know why. I'm just going to sign in first quickly. And I may have to type that. Oh no, it's already taken that. Okay. So you can choose various things, and I can say create. Okay, it's already started creating. So I have given 2 more extra credits over there. So it's going to take a bit of time. But what it is right now doing again is based on that little prompt that we gave. It's actually going and figuring album art. It's figuring a title for the song. It's creating lyrics. And then it's also creating music that works with that lyrics and gives me 2 versions every time. So I'm going to try and play this.
Walking through the doors, feeling the energy rise. A room full of dreamers with stars in their eyes. As community day, the time has finally arrived. Excitement's in the air, we're about to take flight. Seminars and workshops, we're diving deep. Learning new all things, it's a knowledge feast. Networking and coding, making connections at last. Known by all's community, we're having a blast. Hello Mumbai, as we're ready to land. Together we'll conquer, together we'll earn. From the cloud to the ground, we're soaring high. Mumbai as community, let's reach for the sky.
Yeah, it just kept calling AWS as Oz, but other than that, I think it did a pretty good job. And that you can still edit the lyrics, you can change those things, and you can do that, right? So yeah, I mean, that's another example of like a fun generative AI thing that you could do. I had a third one, but in interest of time, I'm just going to show you and let you kind of explore that on your own. This is one of our customers in Australia called Leonardo. They help you create a lot of different fun things where you can create things with the images. You can actually you can do a doodle yourself and you can actually get it to generate what you're doing. So you can actually do a quick drawing yourself and it will actually use that to generate the image and all that. So it's a very fun tool. You can try it out. It's also free to kind of use. They give you a lot of credits to start with. So these were some of the quick things I wanted to do, wanted to show you. Let's get back to the presentation now. So how are people building all these kind of apps, right? So there are many, sorry, I'm just trying to find my mouse. Yeah, so there are many apps that are there. This is a recent generative AI market map that was put out by Sequoia. They actually have this article called the Generative AI Act 2. You can read about it. And there are a lot of these interesting apps. And what they're seeing is that people are actually using generative AI for very interesting applications, which we didn't think were possible, right? I mean, one, there is obviously a lot of enterprise search and creating enterprise applications and all that. But there's also things in medical or finance or various different domains, as well as consumer apps that actually are companion apps for people. There are therapy apps that are being built. So there's so many different ideas that are being generated by generative AI, right? The main thing is that how in the last year and a half or 2 years now, we have seen generative AI actually kind of starting to transform a lot of experiences and a lot of end user experiences. What I wanted to talk about was where we are seeing some of these things, right? I mean, Amazon has a 25-year history on creating a lot of different ML products. It's not very obvious to people, but every time you're doing Amazon searches, if you actually go and search for things that you may not use the exact term that people are searching. I was searching for a doorknob the other day, but I didn't know what to call that particular style of doorknob. So I just type whatever I feel like. It understands what I want and it shows that. That's happening through semantic search. If when I talk to Alexa and Alexa responds to me, that's happening again using a lot of language models and other things over there. And it's been there for many years, right? All the fulfillment centers that we have, there's a lot of robots that are taking away, these things. That's why people are able to deliver things to you within a day, etc. Right? So there's a lot of automation and ML that happens, and we've been using a lot of ML in Amazon for about 25 years now. So those also on the AWS platform, there has been SageMaker, which has been our end-to-end ML platform. So whether you're doing traditional ML, we're now calling it traditional ML because generative AI is the new thing. But whether you're doing traditional ML, whether you're doing a lot of generative AI things and all that, SageMaker continues to be a platform that you can use for things. And 100,000 customers around the world use AWS for ML, right? So a lot of this generative AI thing that you saw, some of those examples that you saw, as well as many of these things that are being built, are built by what are called foundation models. These are pre-trained models that are already available, and these are things that you could, they already have a lot of knowledge, and you can use those models to kind of do a lot of inference out of the box without having to train anything. Where we are seeing a lot of these things happen is mainly 3 categories, right? Enhancing customer experiences, whether it's customer support or like making a better experience for end customers. Boosting employee productivity. So whether you are a developer, coder, knowledge worker, any such thing, people are using it for writing, people are using it for coding, people are using generative AI for a lot of different applications like that. And to optimize business processes. What would have been repeated kind of things that people would have to do either manually or do things, you can actually ask generative AI to do a lot of reasoning and inference things automatically. We are seeing this happen across different set of industries. Again, we are from the startup team, and we are seeing a lot of different startups across various industries creating innovative applications. So these are some of the use cases that we are seeing people use across healthcare, industrial, financial, retail, and media entertainment, and what are the kind of applications that people are creating in these particular things, right? So how do you kind of get started doing this on AWS? On the AWS side, we like to think of our generative AI thing as 3 layers. And you would have heard this at many keynotes before, but these are the 3 layers that we talk about, right? At the bottom, there is infrastructure for creating your own models, training, doing your own inferencing, etc., right? That's where we have a wide variety of GPUs. We have all the different latest NVIDIA GPUs. There's a very recent latest GPU called L4, which just came out yesterday. We launched a new EC2 instance type called G6, which provides that provides much faster inferencing for people who want to use that. We also have Trainium and Inferentia, which are 2 custom accelerators that were created by, I think, many years back. AWS started investing in creating our own chipsets. So there's Graviton on the compute side, and on the accelerated compute side, there's Trainium and Inferentia. Much better cost, much better performance, price performance ratio, right? So your price performance thing is much better for both training and inferencing. And then, of course, there's SageMaker, which is there as an end-to-end kind of thing. On the next layer, this is the bottom layer is for people who want to kind of go build their own models, or want to kind of train models from scratch, or maybe take a model and completely do fine-tuning, etc. But a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people actually want to just call a API and be able to kind of get things out of that. So a lot of applications that are the ones that you saw also, many of them are probably just calling an API, right? That's where we have Amazon Bedrock. Bedrock has a wide collection of models which you can use, and features that we provide out of the box, things like knowledge sources, things like agents. These are things that you might have heard of in the generative AI space. These are all provided on Bedrock out of the box. And on top of that, there are some ready-made applications that we provide, like completely ready applications that you can use. Here there is Amazon Q, which is used again by a lot of developers to get suggestions on what you're doing. So you can set up this Amazon Q for Builder on your Visual Studio or JetBrains IDE, and you can actually get help during your coding. You can use Q in QuickSight to kind of get, you can ask English-based queries and convert that to actual query that runs on your data. And there is Q in the AWS console for you to kind of decide what kind of architecture, or ask something about the AWS documentation, etc. You can even set up Q for your own organization and get your entire organization's data, make it easy for people to find data, search for things and all that. So that's Q and a lot of applications that you can build using Q. So I have a bunch of slides over here that kind of show these things, but I'm just going to again switch back to the desktop, and just to give you a flavor, look at what these things look like, right? So I'm just showing you, let's say, so this is SageMaker. I've already logged in. I've already set up something called a domain. So once you set that up, as you can see, SageMaker helps you kind of end-to-end create various machine learning projects. You can set up a notebook instance. You can start working with Jupyter notebooks, etc. But the exciting thing that we have is something called SageMaker Studio. SageMaker Studio is available for you to kind of create a IDE sort of environment, a browser-based IDE environment, where you can spin up Jupyter Lab, you can work on projects here. We now have a code editor. You can bring your Visual Studio code inside and actually work on ML projects right there. But the most exciting thing for me is this thing called Jumpstart. When you go to Jumpstart, there are various providers that you can see here. You can actually kind of click on any of these providers and get started on models that they are using. For example, let's say I wanted to create something with image generation. I go into stability and I click on stability thing. I even get the actual notebook or the code that I want that stability uses. That's why it's called Jumpstart, right? It gets you started on that particular thing without you having to learn things. So, my internet die again? No. So, so if I just did a preview of that notebook, so this is the entire notebook that is showing me how to kind of create the stability endpoint, how to kind of train it, how to actually do image-to-image inferencing, etc. It's a sample that is already given to me. With one click of a button, I can bring it into a notebook, I can deploy it, and I can start using it. Right? So this is basically for stability, but the same can be done with any of those other models that are there on SageMaker Studio. The other thing that I showed you was Bedrock. If you wanted to kind of create your own thing. So when you go to Bedrock, there are many different models that are available. So as you can see, Bedrock is where you can see a variety of models. There's a wide variety of providers over there. Anthropic provides its Claude models. Mistral has its models. Amazon has its own models over there, etc. And you want to kind of play around with these models. You can go to the chat. You can select a particular model. You can look at, you click on some of these examples, it will even show you how to do the prompting, configurations, etc. And you can even compare models side by side, right? So you can basically say, I want to compare between Claude and, let's say, Titan, and I want to kind of run this same query and get inference on both and see how and compare things side by side. And then once you have done your testing and other things on Playground, it's just an API call to kind of call this and integrate this into your application. So this is basically what Bedrock provides. Some of the additional things that you get on Bedrock is this thing called knowledge base. You can create a simple S3 bucket. You can put a whole bunch of files inside that S3 bucket, and then you can ask your model saying that this is my knowledge base. So when you take documents and you want to search through them, you have to create a vector database, you have to create embeddings, you have to create, all of that is done by this automatically. You just put everything there, you select which embedding, select which vector database, it'll do that whole thing, give you an API that you can just call. Similarly, there is agents. You can give, let's say, a Lambda function, or you can give various functions that you can just call, and you can just ask your language model to use these when you are doing things. So those are some of the things I wanted to show. I'll just take 1 minute more, because it says time's up down here. So yeah, just to recap, 3 layers for people who are building things ground up from scratch, use the infrastructure layer. People who want to call an API can use the layer that has Bedrock. And then there are applications, pre-built applications like Amazon Q and Amazon Q in QuickSight, etc., that can be leveraged. Where do you get started? Where do you get started with all of these? I'm just skipping slides and going to thing. So there are quite a few resources that we have. So there is AWS Skill Builder. You can just search for AWS Skill Builder. It's an entire thing, not just generative AI, but any other AWS skills you want to gain. You can learn. There are many, many free courses that are available over there. There is this course that is for executives. If you want to do Gen AI training for executives, non-technical folks can learn about generative AI. And then there is obviously more things that you can do for getting generative AI skills and things. So again, if you just search for Skill Builder, you will get to all of these. The QR codes will also just lead you to the same place. So yeah, that was my talk. Thank you so much. And thank you. And I'll just welcome my colleague Swami to continue from here on to the next things.
I think Pandurang got you all fired up with all the demos that he did. But here's what, right? I keep calling the community, right, as dreamers, innovators, and builders. That's what the AWS community is all about, right? It's so exciting to see all of you on a Saturday morning, all excited, all passionate, to come with a shared vision of saying we'll learn something, we'll share our knowledge, we are technologists, and we'll push things forward, right? And it's, in fact, the spirit of collaboration. It's, in fact, things like, coming together as a community that actually has moved a lot of things in human history. And that's why I just wanted to thank the community for being here, being a part of the AWS community, spending your Saturday with us. I hope all of the sessions here today are going to be pretty useful for you, right? And if you look at Amazon and AWS per se, customer innovation, long-term thinking, customer obsession, innovation, and long-term thinking have actually been something that we have been doing and believing in when we started off 20 years back, right? And if you look at from where we have come, these kind of values, these kind of leadership principles have got us to where we are, right? We started off as a small online bookstore, and here we are as where we are. And all of Amazon's success is typically not just us, right? It belongs to this community. So thank you for that. And when we started off in India, right, I've been spending close to 6 years at Amazon in India. When we started off in India, we said, okay, Amazon starts with a larger vision of saying, hey, we want to be the world's most customer-centric company. And what do we do in India? How does we translate that to India, right? Amazon is doing its good job. What does it mean for AWS, right? How do we translate that into a mission statement? So we said, empowering builders and businesses in India to build a better India. I think that's what our mission was, right? Saying, how do we do this every day, right? And this was framed some time back. And as I was thinking about this day with the community, I started thinking, right, are we really true to our mission today? Have we been really true to our mission? What have we been accomplishing here? And, I started thinking about it as I wake up, as I get to work, as I go to my workplace, at lunch breaks, through my day, as I wind down my day. How has AWS's data and AI really been helping customers, helping each individuals go ahead and make an impact in their life, right? If you look at waking up, I get up with an Alexa alarm, which I set up last night saying, wake me up at 6 o'clock. It's waking me up. Well, you can see me, I don't go to the gym. A lot of my relatives and friends go to the gym. So everything that goes around starting my day, right? Brands that, empower customers, brands that are really customer obsessed as Amazon, they work with our data and AI stack to empower these customer experiences. Interesting ones are Healthify. I love Healthify. I use the Healthify Me app. And, the pictures they take, say this is a dosa, this is so many calories, your calorie intake is done for the day, right? All powered by the data and AI stack of Amazon. I read magazines in the morning when I'm going to work, delivering customized content for me on a Business Today article that I would have read. That's powered by India Today, right? Getting to work. If you are in my job, you're typically on flights every 2 days in a week, going around the city, going around India, and DigiYatra becomes your homepage kind of an app, right? Powering, again, data and AI powering travel in India. Get an Uber, go to work, drive your own car. If you have a BMW, great. It's like powering the entire BMW's cloud data hub is powered by AWS today, And then a very interesting company, I love this company, Blue Smart Mobility. They do electric vehicles. You find them in Bangalore. And they have come up with a mission of saying, we're going to drive carbon emissions down. So I know the stats till August 2023, because typically they drove about 7.5 million kilometers, completely all EV trips that they've done. They have done this with, what does that mean? It means 18,000 tons of carbon dioxide going down. It's equal to 8.4 lakh trees consuming that much of carbon dioxide from the environment, right? So that's the impact they're creating. And the special thing about them is they don't have surge pricing. So they need to be able to predict at every point in time where drivers are required, where will be the peak demand. So they're doing that with the power of analytics on AWS. Yulu, they do bikes around Bangalore. They have to rebalance the bikes, where the bikes have to be. They use AWS. And coming to Apollo tires, all these vehicles need a tire. Apollo Tires, we work with Apollo Tires on their smart manufacturing, on their smart factories. They have connected vehicles, they've connected platforms from their factories to AWS. That's kind of improving or lowering the idle time that they see on their plants. And that's when we see, those are things that help us say, are we building towards the future of manufacture in India, make in India? That's the impact we've been creating. At work, you see all of these logos. If you're into sales like me, you're using Salesforce, if you're using any of these apps, right? Most of these apps are being used by most companies in India. You and me use these apps. Companies like Perfios, if you're in the financial sector, you're typically using an app called Perfios, which actually digitizing a lot of documents for you. And these things are actually empowering financial inclusion in a lot of ways. Because what's happening is the load that comes on the financial system during peak seasons, at Diwali, you want to buy something. In those kind of cases, what's typically happening is your load increases and you need AI. You need, they use Amazon Tech Stack to take financial documents, understand it, convert it into a structured format, do the analysis, go ahead. If you look at lunch and breaks, this is my favorite time. Order on Zomato, order on Fastos, order a Behro's Biryani, order a McD's, or you want to be a little healthy, cook your own food. Big basket is there. We're doing a phenomenal amount of work with AWS and the data stack of AWS. More retail is my favorite example. When Amazon Forecast was launched in India, I think they were the first companies to look at Amazon Forecasting, and they had a problem. They had saying, if you have fresh category, the apples, the tomatoes, these are all fresh categories. They have a particular shelf life of 2 or 3 days. You can either stock too much and cause wastage, or you can stock too less and cause a stock out. So they said, can we forecast the fresh category so well that we're just there, optimal? And we worked with them on using Amazon Forecast for forecasting their fresh category, and that led to 30% lowering of their wastage. And food wastage is a big thing in India, so lowering 30% of food wastage is great. And then that, of course, improved their margins by 25% as well. Every time you buy at any of these platforms, you're going to pay. Paytm. That's how we work with Paytm from a perspective of saying, hey, every time you hear that sound, right, आपके 10 रुपए प्राप्त हो गए हैं, आपके 70 रुपए प्राप्त हो गए हैं. Many people will know when I mean 17 रुपए मतलब क्या होता है. So it's 17 rupees प्राप्त हो गए, 100 रुपए प्राप्त हो गए. That sound is that the box is monitored by AWS's IoT devices. Because a seller, a shopkeeper, needs to know that he's getting the money. That gives them the confirmation that the money is there, the machine is working, I've got my money, right? So those machines are powered by us. Paytm uses a lot of AWS analytics. And the last one there, I think, as the lunch progressed, I've seen some of my friends come and say, hey, this stock is doing well, do you want to put it there? And that's why securities business, HDFC Securities, they run with AWS. And family time, you're returning back from work, you want to go shopping with, buy something on Tata Click, you want to buy something on Naik. If you're single, you want to look for a partner, shadi.com. If you're already found a partner, you want to buy jewelry for the marriage, Carrot Lane. So Carrot Lane, Tanish, Titan, they work with us. You have nothing to do, you want to watch TV, Tata Play, Disney, you want to watch a documentary on OTT, Netflix, you want to plan a vacation, you want to go for a movie, book my show, you want to go plan a vacation, make my trip. I think a lot of family time, and my favorite, of course, Dream 11. So you got a lot of family time, your leisure time being spent with AWS, and we've been impacting. All of these customers use data and AI, right, from AWS. And then finally winding down, if you're a person like me, you would have definitely forgotten to renew your car insurance policy or a bike insurance policy. You'll be in the bed and you realize that tomorrow is the expiry date, and you want to find a new insurance policy. That's Policy Bazaar works with us. You think, okay, car to purana ho gaya, let me look for a new car or a new bike. So it's essentially looking at car trade. And if you want to simply wind down, right, read a Kindle, listen to Amazon Music. Amazon Music is very famous for using Amazon Open Search for their recommendations. So interesting story. So as I looked at my day, I looked at my friends' days, near ones' days, I said, we are there. We are creating some impact at least. A lot to be done yet in India, but it's all been possible because of builders like you, right? I mean, everyone in these organizations has been pushing the cause, pushing the boundaries of what's possible every day so that customers can get these kind of experiences. And then coming to the interesting world that Pandurang introduced us to, the world of generative artificial intelligence. And, sorry, can I get a bottle of water? Sorry. The clicker stopped working? think it stopped working. Yeah, so if you look at it, right, each moment something new is happening in the world of AI. So, as we speak, in this session, there'll be something new happening, right? It's not a static world. And here is what I got from a policy observatory called OECD. OECD is a policy, they observe a lot of events in the world, they observe a lot of things in the world. They have been observing AI, and I don't know why this clicker is Is it working? Hopefully this works. Yeah. So if you look at it, right, so if you go to, don't go now, go to this session after all these days, learnings are over, go to this interesting website called OECD.ai. And if you look at it, right, they are monitoring news about AI every minute, every second, what's happening across the world. So anyone publishes a new article, they are looking at sentiments that's happening, what's happening across the world, what someone's saying, and you can look at, and this is at least in a normal mode. There's a fast mode, and you'll see every second what's happening, right? You can scroll to what's happening across the world in the world of AI. And the speed at which it goes, you can't even read some of them. So that's actually the speed of what's happening and changing in the world of AI. So by the time we end of the day, there'll be something new that's coming out in the news. And why is this important, right? When I was looking at the same data points around OECD, the Policy Observatory, two things struck me. AI projects from GitHub in India, on GitHub from India, and the favorable AI talent concentration. So if you look at the gray line here, I mean, I should have marked it well. There's a gray line going up on the chart on the right. That's India. If you look at other countries, they're typically flattening out or declining. But in India, the number of AI projects we are contributing on GitHub is phenomenally increasing. Of course, there are metrics around, how many folks there were, was there popularity of these. That's okay. But the fact that it's growing is a big signal for us. The AI talent concentration. So these guys looked at LinkedIn, they look at, job sites data, they're looking at saying, where is the talent in the world for AI? And they've identified this is the talent concentration in India, which is growing up to a very large number. And if you combine this with all the investments that are going into the world of AI, 300 million invested last year into very interesting Gen AI companies, very favorable government policies. Of course, policy making is a tough business, but the intent of the government we've seen is very clear to promote AI. So if you look at all of this, right, we are at the cusp of the era where, India is really suited, India is really geared up to become a global leader in AI. And that's why all of this is important, right? And since one question actually comes to my mind, but what does it take for generative AI to be successful? And if in my role, you're looking at, even that, the demos that Pandurang dazzled us with, if you look at it, many senior execs, when I talk to them, they look at generative AI from a foundation model perspective. They said, open AI, laga dala to live jingalala type, right? So it's not that. It's going beyond that, right? So it's just the tip of the iceberg. When you look at it, there's a lot that goes into this, right? There is storage. There is operational databases that have to be maintained. There is analytics. There is data warehouse to be maintained. There is data governance that goes underneath. And just to give an example, when I look at typically most applications in the enterprise space everyone is not building a foundation model. There are people who are investing in a foundation model. That's their call. But most enterprises that I work with today are using, retrieval augmented generation. Now, if you're looking at retrieval augmented generation, people always look at this diagram. I know it's a little small for you to look at, but they look at a critical path and I'll voice it over for you. A user asks the question comes back. You take the state of where the question is in the chat area. You're typically getting the situational context of what your business is, going back, embedding tokenizing the query, putting it into, looking at sending it to the vector database, identifying the answers back, sending the prompt back to the LLM, and there goes the answer. So what typically people look at is the left side. What actually happens is on the right. The hidden path, the behind the scenes that no one looks at. There are large batch and streaming ingestion jobs that have to take over. I think it doesn't work from here. Yeah, I'll stay here. There is a conversational and a state history that needs to be maintained on where are you in the conversation. There is a situational context, right? Or what about business is someone asking? There are databases and data warehouses to be maintained for that. There is a semantic context to be asked, right? I mean, essentially the vector databases, putting the vectors, converting the models into embeddings, putting the embeddings into a vector database, being able to retrieve that, that's going to be important. Apart from that, right, a lot of data integration, getting the data in one single place, putting up the entire layer of governance on top of the data, all that becomes important. And hence what we say is, the data is your differentiator. And everyone understands this. In the world of generative AI, data is your differentiator. You just can't use an open LLM and say, this is my differentiator, because everyone has access to it. Your data is your differentiator. And what we did was, we did the largest CXO or CDO survey and asked people, how is generative AI going to be impactful for you? 80% of them said, generative AI is going to change our business. Great. 93% of them came and said, the data strategy and data foundations have to be really strong. Excellent. Only 11% said, we believe we have strong data foundations for generative AI. 37% said, oh, okay, you know what, we think we have some data foundations for generative AI. But that's about it. If 93% agree that data strategy and data foundations are important, only 37% are saying we have something ready. And I started inquiring, why would this be happening? Right? This is a number that's thrown at me, but you've got to understand why that's happening. If you look at what's happened in the world of databases, data, I started somewhere way back where the graph started on the left. Data has changed a lot, right? We've had databases, we have, every time at my point in time, everyone was getting certified in Oracle. So we started there, went to databases, then came in the era of Hadoop, then came in the era of, big data ecosystems, then came in Spark. And now, recently we've been hearing a lot about data mesh, what's happening in the data mesh, and then suddenly comes vector databases and all of this. And what we've really identified is, when we talk to CXOs, they're saying, where are we in this curve, right? I mean, I may require anything at any point in time, and I feel really underprepared for this kind of innovation, right? And hence, we defined what does a strong data foundation look like. A strong data foundation is, we believe, has to be comprehensive, is we believe has to be integrated and has to be governed. That's the major three tenets that you have to have when you're looking at data foundations. Now, what does a data foundation has to have? A comprehensive set of services, right? Essentially, you should be able to store, query, and analyze your data. You've got to be able to act on the data. You are by BI, by ML, by generative AI, and you have to catalog and govern that data. So when you're looking at a platform, building your data foundations, this is what you'll be looking at, right? Essentially, how do I store, query, analyze my data? How am I able to act on the data? How am I able to govern that data? The next component is integrated, right? What we've realized is, so we work with most of these large companies, smaller startups. The biggest pain, and as we call in the AWS parlance, the undifferentiated heavy lifting in the analytics world is ETL. So what we realized is you're moving from data from transactional systems that are keeping your transactions, doing a lot of ETL, putting them into analytical systems, trying to get insights out of it. What happened in between is you lost a lot of time, you introduced a lot of errors, and a lot of code that no one knows what's happened in legacy systems, and you just missed a lot of opportunity, and you're doing something that's adding no value. So what at AWS we decided was we look at a zero ETL future. Most of our services are now getting into a zero ETL kind of a construct. We started off with Aurora MySQL and Amazon Redshift. This is one area we definitely started off with. It's available, it's GA in Mumbai as of like a couple of days back. We are getting in the other integrations. We're just not with Redshift, right? Not with our analytical systems and our transactional systems. We've also seen interesting patterns occur with our no SQL kind of systems, right? Our search systems. We see a lot of customers using search and personalization. They need a happy integration between what they're seeing on OpenSearch and what they're seeing on DynamoDB. So we're looking at an zero ETL between there. We saw a lot of customers using log data into S3 and analyzing that with taking it to OpenSearch, analyzing it to OpenSearch. We then announced an open search service and integration with S3. And so these are, and the last part is, the governance part of it. We introduced data clean, two components, data zone, for when you have all your data into your data ecosystem. You essentially have to catalog the data so that it's discoverable by other people. You should be able to share the data, give access to people where they require that access. And what we're seeing, interestingly, is a lot of data sharing outside the environment, right? How do I, share it with another third party? Where do I go with that? So that's clean rooms. And in summary, if I put it right, if you look at where AWS is going towards with the entire using the power of generative AI, there are 2-3 aspects that we should remember, right? Data. And not just having the data foundation. I was showing me time's up. I'm closing in one more slide. It's not just establishing stronger data foundations. It's about how you collect data. So always understand that when you collect data, there are humans behind that data, humans who have hopes, dreams, and fears just like all of us. It's someone's data that you're collecting. So be respectful of what data you're collecting. That's one thing, right? I have seen terrible scenarios in India. I used to work for Equifax. We've had people with a bottle of poison saying, "Mere ko loan de do, varna I'll die." Right? It's almost like that. I've seen grave scenarios like that 10 years back. So understand the data that you're collecting is processed well, you respect the privacy of the person you're collecting the data for. Generative AI, again, a very emerging space. New things happening. I showed you the pace of things that are happening in that space. So our philosophy has been no single model will rule the world. You will have to build a platform that will have a choice of these models. And humans, when you're doing all of this, don't forget the human in the loop. Most innovations that have happened in the world are really from the heart and the mind, right? Machines have helped us, but it's the human that's important. So when all of three come together is when you can really look at any transformation. And that's it, right? So creativity is what others see and thinking that no one else has thought. So you saw what is the art of the possible is what Pandurang showed you. But the creativity is actually playing around with what you can think of what you saw today, what you learned today. And with that, I end my talk. I think have a great part of the end of the day. That's about it. Thanks a lot, folks. Hey, and one more thing I forgot. I would like to invite Sanchit. He has a special announcement to make for all of you folks here.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you, Pandurang, for explaining the importance of learning and the technology, right? I think both of the keynotes were emphasized more on how the industry and the new trends our market are evolving, and with that, we need to keep the pace of learning constantly. And that's where the importance of collaboration came, and that was our theme, was also to why to launch AWS UserGroup Mumbai. I'm really excited here to announce a new user group which is going to be more focused on data, analytics, and generative AI across India, and that is going to be AWS User Group Data India. Whichever city you are, whichever state you are, this is going to be for across India, more focused to keep you the learning, the speed, and the innovation which is happening in the field of data, whether it's machine learning, whether it's analytics, whether it's generative AI. You can be part of this. The QR code is here, as well as the QR code will be flashed on our registration desk itself. So please scan the barcode and be the part of this user group today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sanchit.
Okay, I would request our keynote speakers to please be on the stage once again. And Sanjit, I would request you to please felicitate them. Thank you so much, guys, for your kind and valuable words. Guys, please give them a round of applause.
you, Sanchit, and thank you for both the keynote speaker.